Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's with enthusiasm that I speak during this first reading of the Industry Training and Apprenticeship Amendment Bill. It's always good to have a conversation, Mr. Speaker, with the Labor Party when you're talking about industry training, because over the other side there's really a morass of different views and opinions, and yet you have to learn to understand the Industry Training Act from the point of view of what it actually means. You heard earlier on there Grant Robinson talking about why the government didn't act earlier, but really in the Industry Training Act the fundamental principle is that you've got to have employment. So the employer and the apprenticeship, the employer and the apprentice work through this arrangement. What the other side was rambling on about, and Andrew Little over there was obviously equally confused, is what you talk about is there's two systems of funding. Under the Industry Training Act you have the STM funding, which is the standard training measurement, and under the Polytechnic you have the full-time equivalent, the EFS funding. So I just want to put that out there to clarify some of the double speak that was coming from those opposition members. What's happening here in this bill is very opportune, very appropriate, and again adds to the suite of legislation that will add value to industry training, add value to the pathway of industry training, right back from the point of view of what the government has done around the vocational pathways. In the NCEA we now have the vocational pathways. We will have early meeting and introduction of the ITOs to those students that will come on through and complete their trades training when they have employment, and funded under an STM model, the standard training measurement model. So it is very appropriate that the Minister has brought this bill to the House. I just want to reflect for a moment, for the benefit of Andrew Little, about the wasteful spending of the Labor government when they had their modern apprenticeship program. I can remember actually studying one of the modern apprenticeship coordinators' performance. They spent $250,000 and never had one completion of a modern apprentice. $250,000 was paid out to a modern apprentice coordinator and never had one completed modern apprenticeship. That was typical under Labor of the wasteful spending. We saw it in health. Andrew Little. We saw it in health. Doubled the spending. Didn't get any more performance. What did they do in industry training? Tripled the pay. Tripled the amount of money going into it, no better quality. So what have we got today? Under this bill, Mr. Speaker, we have got the New Zealand apprenticeship, and this will provide a level of training to an apprenticeship regardless of their age, and that is exceptionally good thinking. What actually happened under Labor, like you'd go into a factory and you would have 2 modern apprentices and you'd have 6 older apprentices, and they'd all get the same deal. So it was just a sort of a snout in the trough sort of funding way, and it was very, very poorly run. So what we've got today, Mr. Speaker, is a far more refined, and I must pay respect here to Lockwood Smith. Lockwood Smith would be so pleased to see that we're finally starting to get to a stage where his vision around industry training will be met. And it's so very sad that those people over the other side, Mr. Speaker, who profess, and I use that word carefully, profess to represent the workers, who wouldn't have a clue. So I'd have to say that it is with great pride, and I go back to what Grant Robinson was saying. Imagine trusting employers to deliver training. Well, I'm afraid there's a lot of wonderful employers out there that do the training. Tell that person over there who spoke so disrespectfully about our business people that they are the backbone of this country, our employers, and Andrew Little should just take a breath through the nose and actually apologise for the reckless, wasteful spending that we've seen from the Labor Party under the industry training and apprenticeship situation. Mr Speaker, it is a real pleasure to support this bill. I look forward to working with the sensible, grounded-minded people of the Education Select Committee, and we'll get that reported back to the House, I'm sure, by the 10th of March 2014. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
I call Tracy Martin.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. Thank you very much. I rise on behalf of New Zealand First to speak in support of the bill. I look forward